Hello, it's Colette from the Sacred Rose Temple, and I am here to give you this week's energy forecast. Well, we felt the new moon come in this weekend, and certainly the themes and the feeling of the moon happens today on Monday as we move into Cancer. So the moon moves into Cancer, and this brings up a lot of emotions. I think the thing with feeling this planetary movement, feeling the stars, feeling the placements of these planets in the houses and how they all interact with us as women is pretty deep. I love the concepts behind psychological astrology, which really relate to how things make us feel, the questions that the psychological questions can bring up for us. It just makes us move with these movements in a way that's much more conscious. And I think that the themes that have been going on recently have all been to do with being emotionally honest with yourself and then feeling embodied worth. I see a lot of story around saying know your worth, and it's not that simple. We can't just own worth. It's a lifelong process. It really sits in deep woundings of ourselves, and most of those we are not conscious of. So first of all, we've got to really make all this conscious. What is going on inside of me that disempowers me from my self-worth? And I think personally it's like layering an onion. There's many, many parts of it, and it comes up in many ways. And we can't be conscious of it all at once. We have to pick apart the places that have made us unworthy and begin to work with them piece by piece. So I know when I speak about worth with women, it can be one of these really big overriding umbrellas, and it has so many facets to it. And of course, to kind of say, know your worth is really difficult, because how can we do it that quickly? It is a really deep field of work within your own psyche to try to find the places. So don't worry. All of this movement's trying to do that for us piece by piece. So as the moon moves into Cancer this week, you'll be feeling emotions come to the surface. It's one of the ways we kind of can feel where we're not worthy. It's one of the ways where we have repressed emotions that makes us act in unworthy ways. So really let these wounds come up this week. Let the emotions rise, especially today on Monday. And these emotions can be linked around, the whole of the Cancer energy around the womb, the mother, your home, memories that keep coming up, maybe from childhood or your ancestors, and who you belong to and who you feel safe with. They're quite big themes this week. I love this energy because I'm currently doing the 13 Roses course. We've only just started, and the breasts and the mother are very prevalent in month one of that. So this energy is really supporting us come into these wounds that are, holding us hostage inside the body. So the key around this moon in Cancer would be for you to ask yourself, where do you feel safe, or where are you feeling unsafe right now? And then where are you able to be emotionally held? Can you be emotionally held? And actually, who holds you emotionally if that's needed? There is really deep wounds around that will come up around being over responsible. If you're someone like me that mothers everybody, that's going to come up. Why are you still mothering everybody? That in fact is an unworthiness wound. And then things like, especially around the feminine, being too needy, wanting too much, confusing that intensity of a woman with something that is wrong, and you upholding that as a woman. I think we've been really deeply being led to believe that we are always asking too much, or that we're too intense, too much. And that is absolute nonsense. We are these incredibly emotional creatures as women. And can we truly allow that through? So know that your emotional intensity is very important because that also relates to emotional truth as well. I think what you've got to do this week is let that emotion move through you, create emotional environments in which you can rest, have warmth and food and quiet and all those things that will nurture you, because that is the energy that's needed for you to truly allow your emotional self to move through. So I'm going to ask this question with relation to the moon in Cancer. What emotion is asking for your attention this week? What emotions have you been hiding? What emotions have you been really not allowing, and they can't be hidden anymore this week? They are going to come through. So be aware of that. If you are in my community on my website, I will add more of these questions. I will make sure I place more questions in so that you can answer more deeply on the moon. But all you have to do is go to my website, templedelarose.com, and you will see a place where you can sign up to spaces in the community. And I post musings in there, freebies, all kinds of things. So let's move on. I want to talk about now Venus being in Leo. This is the radiant feminine that wants to be seen. And Venus in Leo brings us real deep warmth. It asks us to radiate who we are. It asks us to think about our relationship with pleasure, romance, beauty, and creative expression. You really are being asked, with Venus being in Leo, to come out of hiding. Stop hiding your vibrant, beautiful self and be witnessed. Be allowing yourself to have desires, to be wanted, to be adored, to be appreciated, to be chosen. Because Leo energy is absolutely the reverse of being small. Leo energy asks you to be bold, to step out there, to be sexy, to be passionate, to be on fire, and to allow that into your life. Allow yourself to feel these places where you are truly, truly magnetic and desirable and all of those things. I think this is true heart medicine when Venus enters Leo. I always feel this energy like two really passionate lovers. Venus and Leo, like, are great lovers. They bring exuberance and too muchness and all of this wilder, more outrageous, more needing to be seen part of the self. So can you connect to your Venus and let her have this love affair with the Venus, with the Leo energy, being seen, you know, wanting attention, wanting affection, allowing yourself to be appreciated, that your radiance is part of your vitality, and that you do not shrink. You do not shrink around others who feel threatened by you. This is a big one for us women. We can often be around energy that's threatened by us, especially if we're a little bit louder or we speak out or outspoken, that we tend to be invalidated by that and we shrink. So be careful that you're not doing that. I think the key messages that I wrote down about Venus being in Leo is that you need to let yourself be beautiful without apology. You need to let yourself receive compliments, receive affection, receive warmth. Allow yourself to be visible. There's a deep part of you that wants to be loved out loud. I think that kind of sums it up. Like, even if that's yourself, if that's you loving yourself out loud, do that, because reclaiming our visibility as women is truly about bringing that part of us that is sacred forward, because visibility is a feminine sacred act. So there you go. So the question is, where are you hiding your radiance? Where are you hiding your radiance? Where are you hiding, full stop, even? So not only is Venus playing in Leo's playground at the moment, in this sensuality, this passion, in her lover's field, as I like to say, but she also begins to oppose Pluto on Wednesday. So this brings a new energy in the mix. It's going to be that it brings in situations to do with love and power desire and shadow. So yeah, it's going to be intense. It's intense. So when Venus is opposite Pluto, it's bringing that intensity into our relationships around desires, money, self-worth, and attachments. So it can reveal to us where love is tangled with control, fear, jealousy, all the shadow aspects of love, obsession, and power. And it will ask us to look into that, to feel that, to investigate around that. So attraction is magnetic, but it also can be completely confronting. So when attraction comes in, the confrontation is really, really going to be there, but it's also going to bring up hidden feelings, things that you've been hiding from yourself. So no matter what relationship this is about, like a friendship, a parentship, a loveship, then ask, is this love? Is this love here that I'm showing, that I'm exchanging in, that is being revealed? Or is it old wounding, looking for something to project itself on so that it can teach you another lesson about that wound? So it's difficult. I think what you're going to feel around here with this conjunction is, sorry, this opposition with Pluto, is that we've got old wounds coming up around abandonment, testing love, and I'm really bad at this, testing love instead of receiving it, wanting intimacy but fearing surrender, mistaking identity or intensity in identity as devotion, and power struggles all around love, money, and self-worth. So that self-worth is going to keep reoccurring all week. Where are you acting out of your self-worth? Where are you being asked to be more worthy of yourself? And the shadow of the feminine really will come up here is in things like, where do you use seduction, control, suspicion, emotional manipulation, and the fear of being powerlessness, you being in your powerlessness. So it's quite an icky wound, that it's quite sticky, but it's meant to, because you feel that all this unworthiness is so deep, it's got so many facets, and each little thing that you address, you do move forward. So when love comes in, notice what's being activated for you, what is being activated here in you. Be self-reflective, be understanding that it's not all brilliant and loving, that there is some shadows in you, and that is attached to your self-worth. And how can love show you where those shadows are and those old behaviors that are keeping you out of deeper intimacy, deeper receivings, all of those things. So I really think that what's being activated here is for you to drop into what is feeling more like control than love. I think that is the energy here. What is feeling more like control than love? So the Venus opposite Pluto, it's not trying to destroy love. It's not trying to make love ugly for you. But what it's asking you to do is reveal where love has been carrying the wound of power in you, where you don't fully commit to someone, where you can't surrender, where you're not letting it in. That's all to do with your own inner power. And this is linked to your unworthiness. So this is all a big boiled bag of that energy of the moon and Pluto and Cancer and Venus. This is what it is bringing in. So as if that's not intense enough this week, I shall add that by the time we come to Friday, we've got Chiron entering Taurus. Oh yes, I know this is going to be big for me. And this is a 42-year shift around the wound of worth. This is why all this week that I've just shared with you is predating, pre-emphasizing the wound of worth. So when Chiron enters Taurus, It's opening a major collective and personal healing cycle. Remember that, when I study psychological astrology, there's always this discussion around Chiron, because everybody always goes, oh, the healed, wounded one. And it's not healed at all. I've said this before. Healing is a process. It's circular. It's a spiral. It's not a beginning and an end. And Chiron really often will bring up the old wounds again. It'll bring them up so you think, oh gosh, I thought I'd healed this. Well, no, you haven't. We heal elements of everything. And so what's really trying to work with us right now is this feeling of worthiness. And so Chiron has not been in Taurus since the late 70s, early 80s. And Taurus, as we know, rules the body, food, land, beauty, sensuality, resources, self-worth. So when Chiron reveals the wound around feeling safe in your body and the wound of your worth being sustained around that wound, we've got to understand that this is not fast healing, but it's very, very deep healing. It's earthy, it's slow medicine. So I think what is going to come up on Friday are themes for everyone around, I am not enough. I do not have enough. I've been seeing this really in the collective unconscious a lot, this feeling that we've never got enough. Like listening to all these, I think, Musk became a trillionaire. Who on earth ever needs that amount of money? He cannot spend that, and he could only give it away and do good in the world, but he isn't. And that must be constellated around this wound of not having enough, of scarcity. And we all hold it to some degree. I have specific wounds around food with this. Like I like to store in food, and I don't like to run out of things. It's just this not enough. I've not got enough. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough food. I don't have enough friends. I don't have enough resources. I don't have enough energy. My body's not enough. My needs are too much. I am not safe to receive. This is all around this wound in Taurus, and it's big for all of us. As I'm saying those things, you're probably relating. I think a lot of us are living in survival in the body, especially because the state the world is in at the moment. And when we're in this survival mode, we're always looking through the eyes of scarcity, and therefore looking for what we don't have rather than what we have. I think a lot of stuff will come up for you around body shame, about, we're seeing it, aren't we, as women, this really toxic field of surgery and facelifts and Botox and filler and body images and clothes and anti-aging. It's constantly bombarding us, and it's coming from this wound that you are not enough without the filler, without the Botox, without the plastic surgery. I seen something today in my field with a 28-year-old influencer getting a facelift. That is this wound. So you might see that in social media a lot more this week. You might feel it around friends or in your social circle. So just think about your own body shape, your own relationship with you as a natural woman, and where you feel that you're not enough, and the collective really, really tunes in and hones into that wound. And let me tell you, there's a lot of money to be made around women's wounds. So it's so essential we do the work here, so that we're not in that cycle of feeding a collective wound with our own fear of it. So things like body shame, financial fear, sensual shut down, huge one for a woman. And you all know that I run the sacred sexuality courses as my foundational work, because I truly think unless we go there, we dig up the shame, we dig up the shutdown, we investigate why our most sacred, most crazily powerful life force isn't fully active in our body, then we can't really deal with these themes on a bigger level. So, I will put the links in for my 13 roses, there's still time to join, because this work is crucial in this energy, that your sensuality, your sacred self, is not shut down. So when we're shut down, when we're in unworthiness, when we're in scarcity, when we're in survival, when our libidic life force isn't running through us, then we're also very disconnected from the earth, from nature, from the feminine rhythm of enoughness, fullness, ripeness that should be in our body. So the wound medicine here with Chiron in Taurus is to feel an embodied sense of self-worth. And that can't just be by saying, I am going to be worthy. There's so much more deeper work, and really be aware of snake oil teachings around that. Have your self-worth, know it. It takes a deep, deep descent in the body to work out where those habits, belief patterns are going on inside of you. So you've got to ask yourself things like, where am I still feeling unsafe in my body? And things like, where do I feel that I'm living in scarcity still? What's scarce? Sex, love, money, pleasure. What's scarce in your life and why? Big, big key themes going on this week. So I think that Chiron in Taurus is beginning to the healing of the feminine body's oldest wound. And that's the belief that we must earn the right, we must earn it to be held in life. It's so big, so big. If you're in my community, like I say, I'm going to put more questions in to help you explore these wounds, because these are biggies. These could change everything for you if you can come into more self-awareness of what's blocking you from entering into the true worthiness, to your true worthiness. And let's see how that all then catapults us in to the final thing I want to speak about, and that's Sunday, with the sun enters Cancer, and this is the solar light. This is Alban Hefin in Druidry. It is the summer solstice. It's a really important day when full light hits us. It fully illuminates us. And it's not just illuminating everything that's good. And of course, it wants to bring in your pleasure and all the things that you deserve. But it's illuminating more specifically, backing on the energy of this week, the very things that are preventing you from that. So if you can do anything in the run up to the solstice, it's do this that I've been speaking about, because this will let you enter into it in deeper understanding of what's blocking that full vibrant sun energy. So the sun enters into Cancer, and it's moving us away from Gemini's mental activity. Thank God I've lived in my head, like literally Gemini season always brings such mental chit chat for me. And we're coming into Cancer's emotional depth. So that Cancer energy, remembering food, home, mother, ancestry, belonging, emotional truth, sacred inner life. The sun in Cancer is illuminating for us what actually needs protecting, nurturing, and tending. And we'll feel the shift from thinking into feeling. I think a good question would be to ask yourself as the solstice comes, or even on the day of the solstice, what is sacred enough that I must care for it properly? Your relationship, your body, your business, your house, what is it? What is sacred enough for you right in this week, right coming up to the solstice, that is asking you to care for it properly? The big wounds around this are not feeling at home in yourself, seeking belonging outside of yourself, and carrying ancestral emotional patterns, particularly around self-worth. I think the key archetypes that will show themselves is the role and in the shadow of mother, healer, holder, or caretaker. Maybe we realize we're just so much in those that it's at a disadvantage to us. And that leads us to protecting others before ourselves. So this solstice asks us to become our own safe space, to allow the light of whatever is in there to come through, but only if we know what's blocking it. So again, I have got loads and loads of questions to help you in these specific areas. So the solstice is the moment of illumination. It's the illuminating, ripening celebration and revelation that we've been waiting for so far this year. You have to ask in yourself, what has reached fullness in my life? What must now be consciously tended to move forward so that I get a really good harvest by the time autumn goes? I think really spending some time on that question will bring you into such a deep space of understanding what this year is really about growing for you. What are you growing? What self-worth has stopped you growing in the way that you want to grow? And this gives us the opportunity to see it and address it. So just to recap over all of this week, because I know it's a biggie, that the Cancer in the moon is going to bring Cancer moon is going to bring in the emotions of your body. Venus in Leo is going to open your heart into this passionate, sexual, sensual energy. Venus opposing Pluto is going to bring the shadow of love and desire through for you. Chiron in Taurus is going to open the wounds of worth, body, and receiving. And the sun in Cancer returns us to the womb space of that light and life force that wants to move through us. We cannot receive more life force while abandoning the body that holds it. That is the kind of core message. So you'll feel this one deeply, and it may feel confusing because there's so much going on. But if you listen to this podcast from the beginning, then you understand that these are elements all actually fit in. Again, we're trying to let the body be safe so that it can receive without guilt. We're trying to rest and allow what is blocking us to come forward. We need to take care of ourselves. We want to let pleasure and passion through. This is all really, really important. In fact, this week, it's not just about what is happening in the sky at all, is it? It's what's happening inside of you and your body. Where is your emotions being asked to be heard and felt and released? Where is your heart needing to be fed and receiving something from that feeding? And then where do you need to be heard? Where is your heart asking to be seen? Where is love activating fear in you? And where are you still living in scarcity? I think life is truly inviting us at the moment to be held, nourished, adored, and sustained. It's really fighting hard for us to get those things. It really is. All the astrology is showing that. But can you allow it in? What blocks you from it? What is preventing you from receiving it? And what do you need to do to remove that block? That's ultimately it. And wow, like it's been so much, but as I say, in a really, really positive way. We are really, truly being tested, really tested. Can you go deep enough? Do you want to do the work? Because if you do want to do the work, then this is going to pay off for you. You are going to receive these things. And I truly believe we are. Those of you that ride with me doing the work and the inner exploration, how can it not pay off? So this week, if you're doing the work, trust the process. If you're not, step into some deeper work where you can own your self-worth, where you can shine that light all the way through you in the areas of the life that you want to work on, in the areas of your life that need some more light bringing in. Make it known. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to ask you to join my Temple de la Rose on the internet. I'll leave all the links under the video. If you join there and come into my spaces, you will see the community group Temple News, and you'll get all the information about everything that's going on. I post in there all week. Also about my new podcast called Women as the Living Myth. I launched that this week. This was all behind this energy that's been going on. And you'll see my first interview there with Shireen Oberg from the Law of Positivism, talking about the archetypal forces that have run through her life and allowed her to be that beautiful woman we see as today, the warrior and the mystic. And that leads to a deeper opening into my myth and fairy tale space that I will be sending out an email today all about alongside this energy forecast. And as always, I ask you, please, please, to share, to like, to subscribe, and specifically to comment underneath. I really love receiving your comments and hearing how these energies are impacting you, and knowing that your words, as you leave them under these videos, are medicine for other women too. So thank you so much for your support. We've got this. We truly have. This is going to crack us open into something more beautiful in our lives. We've just got to trust and be very much part of the process. So have a great week. And until next week, take care and much love.